Now it's time to learn Scope 2. Scope 2 means indirect emissions from purchased energy. Scope 2 emissions are emissions from the generation of electricity, steam, heating or cooling that you purchase from another organization. The emissions physically occur at the power plant or energy supplier's site, but they are counted as your Scope 2 because you use that energy. Examples: electricity purchased from the grid and used in your factory or office. Electricity purchased from a private power producer. Steam or hot water purchased from a neighboring power plant. Chilled water purchased from a district cooling system. Easy rule. If you burn the fuel yourself, it is Scope 1. If someone else burns the fuel to produce energy that you buy, it is Scope 2. Now finally let's study Scope 3. Scope 3 means other indirect emissions. Scope 3 emissions are all other indirect emissions that occur because of your business activities but are not Scope 1 or Scope 2. They occur in your value chain, both upstream, before your operations, and downstream, after your operations. Simplified Scope 3 categories with examples. Upstream activities means before your processes. Purchased goods and services. Capital goods. Fuel and energy-related activities not already in Scope 1 or 2. Upstream transportation and distribution. Waste generated in operations. Business travel. Employee commuting. Upstream leased assets. Downstream activities means after your processes. Downstream transportation and distribution. Processing of sold products. Use of sold products. End-of-life treatment of sold products. Downstream leased assets. Franchises. Investments. Very short summary. Scope 1. Direct emissions from your own sources. Scope 2. Indirect emissions from purchased energy. Scope 3. All other indirect emissions in your value chain before and after your operations. Now let's move on to the most used topics. What is an emission factor? An emission factor is a simple conversion number that tells you how much greenhouse gas is emitted per unit of activity. General formula. Emissions in carbon dioxide equivalent is equal to activity data multiplied to emission factor. Activity data is how much fuel, electricity, distance, or material you used. Emission factor is how many kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent are emitted per liter, per kWh, per kilometer or per kilogram of material, etc. Now, let's look at some practical examples. Example 1. Diesel in a generator. All these examples you should work on your own to practice calculating emissions. Emission factors are important because we do not measure carbon dioxide directly from every exhaust. Instead, we measure easier values such as liters of fuel, units of electricity, or kilometers traveled, and then use emission factors to convert those into emissions.